Welcome everyone to this panel session on Asia's digital economies. I'm Medha Basu, Deputy Editor of GovInsider. We have curated this panel to showcase fascinating case studies from across Asia and lessons for how governments can build sustainable and inclusive digital economies. We have with us today Masaki Sox Kono, Managing Director of Asia Pacific South for Dassault Systems, Dr. Pernaj Chairatna, Director of National Innovation Agency of Thailand, Ms. Marta Perez Cuso, Economic Affairs Officer. I'm going to do that again. Ms. Marta Perez Cuso, Economic Affairs Officer for Technology and Innovation at the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific. And we have Edwin Loh, Director of Accreditation at the Info Communications Media Development Authority of Singapore. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Let's start first by turning to Thailand. Dr. Chairatna, your agency is heading Thailand's digital economy plans. Could you tell us what is the vision for Thailand 4.0?
I think you need to ask me again.
Okay.
Because the agency is that leading digital economy is DIPA.
Okay.
But we're leading innovation for Thailand 4.0.
Right, okay, I'll ask a more specific question then. Your agency is leading Thailand's digital innovation vision. Could you tell us a bit more about what you're doing there?
I think we can see that from the past couple of decades ago, a lot of people in Thailand, we mainly engaging with innovation through agricultural or maybe manufacturing. So when we're talking about innovation, it's mainly about manufacturing sectors. Now we start to think about services. That's why quite a few number of companies, particularly from banking sectors, start to think about the transformation. So in a sense, digital transformation in banking sector in Thailand are already ahead of other specific sectors in Thailand. So in that sense, you will see a lot of big transformation in banking sector, like some bank already reduced their own employees and transform into a bit more digitalization system. Some bank already start their own new companies, like corporate venture capitals, to invest in startup, not only fintech, but also other deep technology. So in that sense, you see that the most remarkable evidence on this specific digital innovation in Thailand has been evolved from banking sector. The second sector that has been evolved as well is agricultural sectors. So you see a lot of agricultural and also food sector has been engaging with big data, has been engaging with food service. That's always talking about data economy. So in that sense, you will see that there will be more and more service in the urban area that's mainly engaging with urban farming, a new design of food delivery system. So in that sense, you can feel that when we're talking about innovation for the past period of maybe 50 years, we think about factories, we think about supply chain, but now it's mainly occur in the cities.
Fantastic. And Marta, you're working on inclusive innovation. Can digital economies be inclusive?
Of course they can, and we can see today how online platforms like e-commerce platforms are allowing anyone to go online and trade their products online. And in China, for example, it has been remarkable how e-commerce platforms have changed the way the villages, these Taobao villages, and provide economic opportunities in rural areas. However, they can also be disruptive and leave others behind. And this is why at UNESCO we are exploring how we can promote innovation that leaves no one behind, and how we can tailor innovation policies, how we can supplement existing policies with other programs that also reach further and include those excluded groups, often rural communities, but also women or persons with disabilities, to also make sure that they can fully participate in the digital economy.
Fantastic. Now I'd like to turn to Sox. Could you introduce to us what the salt system does?
So Dassault Systems is a company that has been transforming industries for 40 years. We started off with Boeing, and instead of crash testing jets, we actually designed the jet on a computer, and hence the industry called CAD came out, in simulation. So we've taken that further, and now we're designing, manufacturing, and operating products as small as molecules, drugs, pharmaceuticals, to products like iPhones, to cars, to jets, and now cities. We are the partner for the Singapore Virtual City Project, and a city is a systems of systems with many different topics that you need to think about being innovative, but thinking about how the city could be sustainable. So we're a company that has lots of technology, that has a platform that federates data, and in the end, it gives people, everybody in an organization or a government, the ability to make decisions smarter, faster, and better when you have the data and the finger and information at your fingertips.
No? Okay. Sorry, we'll just leave that behind. And Edwin, IMDA is leading Singapore's digital economy work, but your work is across the region. Could you tell us a bit about what trends you're seeing in digital economies in Asia?
It's not even. I think different countries are taking different steps in terms of how they implement the digital economies. I think for us in Singapore, three main buckets. I mean, within government, we are re-looking at how we interact with our citizens and whether we can actually find a more seamless, safer way to do things that citizens transact with government, be it for their CPF, or be it for their taxes, or be it for the apply to their HDB flat. Each agency is taking a hard re-look at how they want to do this. And I think it would result in some radical changes between how government actually translates its services to the citizens. Second bucket is actually in the vertical industries we have, be it retail, transport, financial sector. Now there's a sector lead for each of these verticals, and we broadly call it industrializing or digitalizing industry. So they have their own industry digital plans, and these are being rolled out as a nation. The third bucket is actually the digital economy suppliers of much like Result Systems and all that, where our ecosystem, you can say, is largely system integrators, hardware providers. We're making a conscious effort to change the mix towards the more disruptive technologies, things that would be like cyber, data analytics, AI, IoT, and so forth. Getting these guys off the ground at some sort of critical mass is not a thing you do in a year or 2 years. It's a longish journey, and in event that journey is a really long tail thing and people change their business models, their products evolve, and hopefully the industry we speak in 5 years' time will look radically different.
Fantastic. And coming back to you, Dr. Panaj, I know that Thailand is building innovation districts across the country. What are they, and what is your plan for them?
I think it's just similar to Jurong Innovation District's concept in Singapore. We plan to have around 27 innovation districts all around the countries. At least there should be around 7 innovation districts in Bangkok. We will open the 2 innovation districts between October, mainly focus on medical innovation and also digital innovation. Digital innovation, we join hand with one of the biggest telco in Thailand through Digital Park. So it will be a landing pad for international startups that working on digital economies, while Yoti Innovation District it mainly focus on public health medical and life science innovation. So you see that it's a kind of area-based innovation that's transformed the inner cities of Bangkok, Chiang Mai, Phuket, and also Chonburi into space and also the physical asset that can utilize by innovator, venture capitals, and also land developer.
Socks, I understand that the Dassault Systems recently, I think just on 20th September, signed a partnership with Thailand's Digital Economy Planning Agency. Could you tell us a bit more about what were the objectives behind that partnership?
Sure. I think similar to any government we work with, there's things that are changing and driving the changes around the economy. Obviously, the Thai government is focusing on 5 new industries. They've been traditionally in 5 industries around aerospace and transportation. Now they're going in, they're in transportation before, they're going into aerospace. And as they go into new industries, they want to figure out what kind of people need to be equipped with what type of technologies and know-how. So we have a program around the workforce of the future, which really talks about training graduates, postgraduates, certification, I would say grassroots, even grade school programs on students learning new I would say disciplines around multidisciplinary technology, around digitization, around becoming a new engineer that's equipped with new tools and new thought patterns. That's not traditional schooling. So we're looking at these new workforce of the future programs in Australia, now in Thailand, which is very exciting. The other program that we're doing with the Eastern Economic Corridor in Thailand is about digitizing this whole area, which is going to be an area that really attracts foreign investment. It's going to have universities that are state-of-the-art. Companies will invest into there. There'll be a new train system. And if you kind of look at the whole urban planning around that, there's going to be a lot of industrialization, but at the same time, balancing the sustainability. So we're going to look at modeling that area as well as kind of creating a virtual Singapore, but a virtual EEC area.
Fantastic. I want to talk a bit about the impact that technology is having in each of the areas that you're working in. Edwin, the accreditation program helps Singaporean startups win contracts across Asia. What technologies are you seeing having the greatest impact in the region right now?
I think the first wave with the highest ROI has been largely in the fintech space. We have a Singapore company like Viki that has basically been securing a lot of the mobile transactions for banks. So banks, as they transit from business models from the offline retail bank type of model to transacting with their customers digitally, many build apps to do that, and there's an inherent risk to putting banking transactions on your mobile phone, and that creates a need to secure that transactions. So we have this company called Viki that secured that, and they actually built for DBS their first fully digital bank in India. So that is an example of how technology is changing the way traditional players do their business. The other phenomenon within fintech was that as there are more risks within the financial system, there's a need for our compliance people to keep up. Traditionally, that was been a very rule-based type approach. Things like anti-money laundering, KYC have already been around, but the processes to deal with that have largely been getting humans to process information. But we can't keep pace with the amount of information that's coming in now. So there's another company we have, that's Tukitaki, that's helping these banks manage their compliance processes using AI and machine learning, and that helps dynamically address evolving risks. Separately, I think, as most institutional organizations typically have to deal with a lot of information, and this information may or may not be digital. And there is a increasing trend where we have a combination of AI, data, and robotic processing automation, where you get machines to start processing data intelligently. So the machines can do things around the clock. They probably can do things at much more accurate rate. And hence, these type of applications are quite impactful in terms of ROI, particularly in Singapore, where labor cost is extremely high. So there's a big impetus for our organizations to take away that labor-intensive element of the work.
And that certainly ties in with what's happening in Thailand as well, where you said that banking is really going through a lot of change right now. I think that's very interesting. Marta, let's have your thoughts on this. How do you think that technology can deliver inclusive innovation?
Thanks. I think we're seeing a lot of interesting products that are helping inclusion, that are enabling people to lead a fuller lives, participate in the economy, either to disabled people to be able to communicate better with assistive technologies. We can see e-commerce platforms, what I was referring to before, enabling economic opportunities. For me, what's important, it's not just a single individual solution, but the more transformative platform solutions that bring change to another scale and can really replicate the benefits. And I think, echoing what my panelists were saying, in fintech, there are very great opportunities to, for example, provide financial inclusion for those that until now didn't have the opportunity to access banking services because they didn't have access to a physical branch, and then those requirements of know your customer couldn't be met. But now, thanks to digital IDs, to open platforms, and to mobile telephones, all those systems can be put together and enable digital know your customs requirements. And this is a bit what India has been doing with the Aadhaar program and their financial platform, which is making a very transformative platform to reach out to those that were unbanked. But it's also providing opportunities to the private sector to provide financial services to a wider population. And this is an area where I'm very excited about not just individual technological solutions, but more transformative solutions.
Fantastic. Dr. Panaj, for Thailand's perspective, what technologies do you think will transform Thailand in the future?
At this moment, the government's concentrating the emphasis on technological development in at least 3 technologies lines. Surely the first one is digital technologies. The second one is about biotechnologies, and the third one is circular technologies. So green technology is very important to mitigate with the environmental degradation in Thailand, coastal and also in a foresty area. So in that sense, there are at least 3 technologies that we are focusing on.
Very interesting. And Sox, what are you seeing? What kind of technologies do you think can support countries like Thailand, for example, in areas like oil and gas and manufacturing?
I think the biggest thing that the mobile technology in itself is changing the way that anyone can have access to the internet and data. And that's the biggest shaker that I've seen in ASEAN countries. We're going to try to tackle, and it's not really a technology, but the traffic problem and the pollution problems are something that the mayors are telling us they want to handle, which would be very difficult problems, but exciting, and that's one of the things that we want to do. But we are looking at oil and gas refineries and renewable energies and how they digitize their processes and systems to be more efficient, better yield, less pollution, smarter planning, so they keep a lot of green in that sense. And we do a lot of stuff in the mining industry as well, but again, replanting trees, very important, right? And keeping the sustainability around a manufacturing plant. So those are some of the things that we'll be doing.
Fantastic. And Edwin, the accreditation program is a very innovative model, and as a result of this, local tech startups are actually working with governments overseas across the region. Could you tell us a bit about the accreditation model, and what do you think that other governments can learn and copy from this?
Yeah, sure. I think we started accreditation to help actually enterprise buyers deal with the pace of innovation. I think often they manage complex enterprise systems that are mission critical, and they don't really know what's out there, or whether out there really works. And so they often get vendors coming in with presentations with very interesting product claims, but they don't really know whether it really works and whether these guys can deliver, or whether they might run out of money and not be around to service them when they come. So that's risk, and it's real risk because there's a high switching cost from enterprise system to enterprise system. So I think the role that accreditation fills for this guy is that, one, we try and find real solutions out there that are ahead of the curve, that they can safely entertain and embrace. They can also understand the use cases better, and they can then calibrate whether this fits their tech roadmap at this stage. Because the other big risk for buyers is that they end up buying technology that goes obsolete. You make work exactly fine, but in 6 months or a year down the track, it's an entirely different product that probably existed in the market when they bought it, but they just didn't know about it. So I think accreditation helps, in a way, create transparency and knowledge. So with that, it helps the buyer make better decisions as to what suits them and where they want to go for what use cases.
Would you highlight any particular examples of an accredited company that worked with either government or a company overseas?
I think that's a bit more difficult because we don't have a green lane for the overseas governments yet. So largely, our companies that we are, they have gone overseas, but they do that on their own strength. Here, we help them with our local agencies and the large local enterprises that are here, like the banks, insurance companies. We'll be having an MOU with 4 local insurance companies for the fintech sector later on. And that's where we tend to influence the decision making. It's hard for me to say whether what the business like in Thailand. Maybe that's a question for.
Sure. And just to round up the discussion, I want to talk about challenges and opportunities challenges that we need to overcome and opportunities. What are we positive about as well? Dr. Panaj, what are the biggest challenges that Thailand needs to overcome?
Well, we are approaching extreme aging society, so it's mainly about people that can innovate for the next generation. At this moment, there are quite a few number of universities that's already shrink down on seating. Every year, we have very few newborn babies. So in the near future, I think human capital will be a lot of challenge for Thailand.
And Sox, what is one thing you're really excited about in the next year?
I just see an incredible amount of leadership in a lot of countries that are talking about the future and training the workforce of the future and digitizing, which is really just a buzzword, but it's really creating jobs, a whole new generation of people being able to access new technologies, making their life a lot easier, making more money as farmers do. So there's all these programs that are just making life easier and simpler, and I just think that we're a part of these initiatives in Thailand, in Vietnam, in Australia, and we're really trying to change people's lives, and I think that's the exciting thing that keeps us motivated. And if we can make a difference and give people jobs and train people, I think that's the most exciting thing that we can do.
And you talked about the work that you're doing in some of the other countries. Could you tell us a bit about what kind of lessons that you've learned in those other countries and approaches that you can bring over to the work that you're doing in Thailand now?
I think in any organization, government, country that we do business, fear is the biggest thing, fear of change. When we talk innovation all the time. We're a company that tries to change the mining industry, the automobile industry. At first, you met most of the population would be, wow, no, I'm used to what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. I'm a professional. And they'll kind of, we'll be evangelists saying, okay, this is the way that's going to happen. And then you see a few people kind of turn the corner. We call it drinking the Kool-Aid, and it takes a little while. But if you believe and you kind of have that passion, and that passion grows, I think that's one of the things that it's really changing the mindset of people and getting them to overcome this fear of this technology. You know, there's always questions about, will AI eliminate jobs? The answer is yes. You know, it's going to make a lot of things efficient, and there's going to be jobs eliminated. So think about how you can retool your skill sets to find another job. And that's what we're doing with a lot of different programs. We're trying to repatriate SMEs' skill sets to be submarine ready, not automobile ready, in the South Australia economy example, for example. So there's many things that we can do, but it's just really changing that mindset of no fear and really accepting that change is coming, technology is coming, and how do you take advantage of it and be at the forefront is really kind of the lessons learned.
Fantastic, thank you. And Edwin, what are the biggest challenges that startups in Asia are facing, do you think?
I think it's always competition, but it's an exciting, very fast, dynamic ride. I think I would say most of these startups are probably right and place right time if they have a good product and a good team. The challenge for them is to keep building on that because it's always an uphill race, and there are many competitors, and usually winner takes all. So that in itself is quite interesting as you watch it unfold. What I find gratifying is that to see people, companies that come to us at $1 million of revenue now pushing 10, with 10 employees pushing 100, and the CEOs have transformed their organizations in what they do. Their product has evolved. That's real growth in each company, and we can see that happening with a portfolio of companies, which in itself is growing. So that, to me, makes me come to work the next day.
Fantastic. And Marta, what is one thing you're excited about over the next year?
I'm excited about cross-fertilizing the experience that this region has in different areas. I mean, almost every country here has some exciting experience on how they're using digital technologies to drive economic growth, but also, and for us, quite important, social development and environmental sustainability. And I am excited about the opportunity that we have to share those experiences with other countries in the region and to work together, because you have to work together in defining what for each country means and what they can take from that good experience and how it will apply or can be used in their local context. Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, I think that's all for today. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you very much.